It's time to pick a side. The border war is on the air with BG and TanMan.
We gave you one job, TanMan.
We gave you one job. I messed it up 5 seconds into the show. Gang, welcome in. This is episode 100 of The Border War. I am the TanMan. I'm here with BG.
The episode numbers can we say them?
We can say them. I just don't think we can put them in the name
Apple
title.
Podcast is okay with us saying the number, but they are not okay with us typing the number.
We are not allowed to type the number in anymore.
Steve Jobs rolls over in his grave every time we type a number.
I wonder if I type a number, what would happen?
I think, they may be able to remotely shut your computer down. Who knows what Apple can do? Who knows?
Anyway,
you ever wonder who took that bite? I mean, at one point.
Okay. Anyway, again, we are live. If you are listening to us live, you are listening to us through the Spreaker app. If you are not, shame on you.
Let's hope somebody's out there.
Hopefully. I don't know.
Lots of people listen to it later. We just don't know what the live. You can't see it. Like you can't tell later on. I can see how many people listen through Spreaker. I can't tell if any of them listen to it live.
Yeah. Anyway, let's get right. Episode 100 is jam-packed. We're going to get right down to business, BG. Last Wednesday night, a big win on Tobacco Road for the Tar Heels. Really shook up the ACC standings. In first place, all by themselves. Although by the end of the night, it probably won't be the case. But as we sit here today, for all the Duke love, for all the Virginia love, for all the folks jumping off that Tar Heel bandwagon, the North Carolina Tar Heels are sitting in sole possession of first place in the ACC. Oh my goodness, BG, I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it. What a run by this group, man.
4 wins in a row. I mean, what can you say? They're 13-2 in conference. To be fair, I mean, they've played one more game than Virginia. That's why they're in first place.
Virginia's got Georgia Tech tonight, so I'm sure that at the end of the night, Virginia's going to be back technically in first place.
But of course, I mean, the big story, I guess, and I mean, I think it's fair to say this show exists in part. One of the few things we agree on is making fun of Duke. Duke with three conference losses. No timetable for Zion's return.
I think the last thing I heard, they were talking about getting him in sometime within the next week or so. So I don't. We'll see.
A big win for Virginia Tech last night because they had sort of slumped off a bit. I mean, they kind of seemed to be fading. So to win against Duke and.
I think that's the third straight time that Duke's gone to Virginia Tech and lost.
So let's just get this straight because you are the college basketball authority. So I'm confused about something.
Okay.
When does it matter if Zion plays or not? Because it seems to change. I mean, it mattered when you guys beat them. That's the only reason you beat them. That's right.
I see where you're going. Yep.
Okay, that's the only reason you beat them. But then their next game, which was a win. See, we didn't need Zion. We're not all Zion. This team can play basketball. We're not just one player. Okay. And then last night you lose to Virginia Tech, and again it's because we didn't have Zion. Now, to be fair, let me say I get what people are saying.
I wish I had a baby cry button on my screen here.
I'm really glad you don't because I don't think most of the time you would be using it to back me up. But I get that it is not as simple as saying, and we haven't had a show since the game, have we?
No, this is it.
Okay, so I get that it's not as simple as saying, okay, you have 3 more McDonald's All-Americans, suck it up, cupcake. Okay, I get it in that game. Mm-hmm. All right, but even still, man, how do you not make some adjustment? Because forget the defensive side of the ball. Losing Zion does not make you stand flat-footed and watch North Carolina penetrate the paint. And on the offensive side of the ball, Lord have mercy, man. I have seen 5th and 6th grade teams that look more organized with what they had no identity at all. But the thing that gets me, they came out of halftime no better. He didn't call a timeout.
When he went out, when Zion's shoe exploded on the floor of Cameron Indoor Stadium and he went out of the ball game, I texted my buddy. I said, He's done. He's not coming back. Yeah, I can see the way he kind of twisted and landed. It's not the first time that he's kind of tweaked his knee. I think he did something like that in high school anyway. But anyway.
Well, he's gained 100 pounds since last March.
That's what he says.
Do you remember seeing?
I do.
I've got the picture on my phone. He was, at the time, what I recall thinking is, wow, he's really small. And I'm dead serious. He wasn't as tall as I thought, and he was very thin. He is not
he's
that
not thin
anymore.
Going back to the game last Wednesday night, my opinion, Roy Williams coached circles around Mike Krzyzewski. There were times after he went out, there were times that rebounds would literally just fall into the hands of Cameron Johnson and Luke May, and they would just, want to just casually bounce them off the backboard and into the basket.
No, yeah.
I mean, there was nothing. There was absolutely nothing.
It was never competitive.
No. I think at one point it got up to be 23 in the second half.
Duke in North Carolina did not deliver that
night. Not that night.
They did not.
But what did I say? Something will happen that we will remember this game for.
You're right about that.
And we were right about that. So right now the Tar Heels sit in sole possession of first place, like I mentioned. Them, Duke, and Virginia, they're all going to battle out for the next week. Those are going to be 1, 2, 3 in some order. My question to you, BG, is it possible that the North Carolina Tar Heels at 23-5, number 5 in the country, and are going to move up on Monday morning, especially with the Duke loss last night, still flirting with the possibility of jumping up on that one line in the NCAA tournament? In my opinion, the North Carolina Tar Heels are still flying under the radar. And you know what? I'm perfectly okay with that.
Why would you not want to fly under the radar?
Perfectly fine with that.
Nothing. Now, there are teams that can tolerate not flying under the radar, right? I mean, there are teams that, that are fine with the spotlight, but it doesn't benefit anybody. So being under the radar, yeah, absolutely you take that. I mean, that's exactly where you want to be going into that tournament.
You've seen the quotes from Nasir Little and Kobe White, both, in a nutshell, they've both come out and said in the last few days, look, if nobody wants to talk about us, that's cool.
Right.
You just keep winning ball games, and if you're one of the last two teams playing on Monday night, they're not going to have a choice but to talk about you. I said it before the year. I'm going to say it now. This team has everything they need to win a national title. They could very easily wind up back in Minneapolis, and nobody is talking about them. The national media had better wake up and start taking notice, because right now the only thing they're focused on is the big fella from Durham, Zion Williamson. Right now he's out. They're talking about him maybe coming back sometime this week. I personally, was expecting a Willis Reed miraculous healing Friday night before the Tar Heel game. All of a sudden his knee is magically better.
Right.
And but it looks like he's going to come out before that. The general recovery time for this injury, they say, is 2 to 4 weeks. Looks like Duke is going to kind of push it closer to the front end of that. Is he making a mistake if he comes back to play? I don't know. I think they've got Miami and Wake Forest. Is he making a mistake coming back to play these teams, or making a mistake in college basketball, period?
I think it's a minimal risk. I mean, if he's healthy, if his leg's as good as it was before he twisted his shoe open, then you could make. Now, he doesn't stand to benefit from it. He doesn't stand to benefit from it financially or whatever. But if you do want to make the argument that he owes Duke the commitment he made to play, then that's fine. But to me, I don't know. I actually heard. I'm going to give a shout out to one of our local, Mark Ryan, new guy from Houston that's over at ESPN Upstate.
I think he follows us on Twitter.
He does follow us on Twitter, and that's why he gets his name on the radio, unlike the no-talent clowns who don't. But
if they followed us on Twitter.
Especially the big fat one, just in case you're wondering.
You had to be more specific. There's a couple of those. Anyway.
Yeah. So he was talking about how if he were a Duke fan, if he was a Kentucky fan, he just probably wouldn't be that excited about college basketball. And it's something I've been telling you for years. that I felt the same way. And I think people laugh at me thinking, oh, you wish. Now, I'm not stupid. Yes, I wish Zion had gone to Columbia. But do I wish that our whole program was a rotating door of one-and-dones? No. Because I couldn't get excited about that. And I am confused why people lump you guys into that argument, because it doesn't happen at North Carolina. And to be fair, it doesn't happen most places. It doesn't happen at Xavier. It doesn't happen at Villanova. It doesn't happen at Kansas. I mean, they have some. But Kentucky and Duke are the two schools to me that have gone whole hog on it. And
John Calipari, he bought into all the one-and-done stuff at Memphis. It kind of started with DeJuan Wagner, whatever that was, 10 or 11 years ago now when he was up there. I think Mike Krzyzewski, it seemed to me like he kind of fought it for a while.
He did.
Before he finally just pushed all his chips in.
I remember us having a conversation early on in the show, is Duke becoming a one-and-done school? Because it was still a question. And that was just 2 years ago. But now...
The thing is that Roy Williams, I had this conversation the other day. Roy Williams recruited all these kids, man. He recruited every one of these kids.
Yes.
And, I think a lot of it was the investigation stuff. And he just didn't get them. That's okay. And that's fine, because what we got guys like Joe Barry and Luke May and guys that stick around for a while. But back to Zion, BG, I'm going to disagree with you. He doesn't owe Duke anything.
I didn't say he did. I'm saying he needs to decide if he does.
If that's my son, if that's my son,
he's not playing for Duke.
He is not putting on another basketball jersey for free. Whether or not he's putting on a basketball jersey for free now is open for debate. But he is not putting on another basketball jersey without getting an above-board paycheck.
I don't think it's up for debate.
I
just don't.
Think about
hilarious.
it. This guy is 285 pounds. I'm pretty sure that he kind of tweaked his knee in high school. So we'll say this is the second knee injury he's had, right? He's 285 pounds. He just came out the other day and said, look, between his sophomore and junior years, he gained like 150 pounds. So what was the argument when guys were taking steroids and then they would have these tissue injuries, these ligament injuries? Their body got too big that their ligaments and their knees and their elbows, they just couldn't keep up.
Right.
Sure. Everything that he does is based on the fact that he is the most explosive player on the floor. He's going up and coming back down with 285 pounds on that knee. He ain't playing, bro.
Yeah.
He is not going back out there. Not if it's my kid. I think if he does, now, if he were to come back and say, I think they could steamroll through the first weekend of the NCAA tournament.
Oh, sure.
If he were to come back at the Sweet 16 and say, okay, the second round of the tournament and say, okay, I'm going to play the tournament, okay, cool. But, why are you coming back to play? Why are you coming back to play Saturday? To play Wake Forest or Georgia Tech? Or even, I love the ACC tournament. I'm going to be up there in a couple weeks. I'd love to see him play. Why are you coming back to play in the ACC tournament? I mean, it doesn't make any sense at all.
Well, okay, so let me ask you this. Does it make sense for R.J. Barrett to play?
Well, R.J. Barrett's healthy. To me, there's a difference.
Well, but I said, okay, so let's say Zion is healthy.
Okay. To me, healthy is a relative term. If you've already been injured,
you're right.
If you've already been injured, your standard of healthy is different than the dude who's never been hurt.
But you don't think? But if you're R.J. Barrett's dad, you keep playing because he's a first round pick.
But look, you went there to play, and I get that it's. Yeah,
but I think everybody needs to admit that you went there to play because you had no choice. You had to play. You wanted to go to the NBA. They won't let you go.
I think
this is not about college or taking classes. Take that crap and flush it out. I don't want anybody tweeting that at me. That is hot trash. These kids are not taking classes.
They're done taking classes now, man.
If anything, they go to class during the fall semester. They get put on probation if they just don't even attend in the spring. It's an absolute joke why it's continued to go on. And, man, we've argued about this on the air before. I don't think the 2-year solution's any better. I want 3. I want 3 years or just let them go to the league. I mean, I don't.
Well, that's coming now. How long they make them stay? How long the NCAA decides to make them stay? I don't know.
Yeah, we don't need to get into it. I didn't mean to bring that up because that's a whole different thing.
This kid, he's done. Yeah, you kind of tweak it. You went there, get it. You went there to play ball. Okay, cool. You're healthy. You play. But I think like I said, the healthy matrix for Zion is different than the healthy matrix for somebody who's not been injured.
If you're Zion's agent, if you're a general manager for, I don't know,
the Knicks,
the Suns,
okay? Are you not taking him number one?
But what I'm saying though, are you already making phone calls saying, hey man, you might want to drop about 25, 30 pounds because we're worried about you coming down like that. I mean He doesn't need to be 285 pounds to compete in the NBA. He's plenty big.
Oh, he's plenty big.
He's plenty big.
Nah, and that was the other thing.
He's almost as big as Shaq was his rookie year in Orlando.
Go back and look at LeBron James when he was a rookie. Like he doesn't look anything like this.
Yeah, he's thin.
You're the New York Knicks and Zion doesn't play. And you got the number one pick? Are you not taking him? If he shuts it down right now, are you going? Oh,
No. I see your point. I'm actually coming at it from a different standpoint, though. Well, what I started to ask you is, do you think that the injury, if it happened, if the take inside the league is that it happened because of because of his size and the way he comes down off of rebounds, that high impact. I mean, I'm not going to say will it hurt his draft, but do people come at him and say, "Man, look, this is the kind of thing that could happen again."
I think he will wind up because and he didn't get hurt now from coming down. It was just I think his left foot slipped. Yeah, his right knee kind of buckled behind him, and then the shoe blew open. But you're right, over and over, 82 games, 4 nights a week.
Kid his size should have never been in a standard shoe anyway.
No, they said he was in like a lightweight.
That's absurd.
Lightweight shoe. He needed to be in something.
That's absurd.
Sturdier. Over to the SEC, BG. The Gamecocks.
It's over.
I had high hopes for them.
It's over.
Yeah, they've lost 2 straight now. They've
lost 2 straight, but they've only lost one that really mattered. We knew they were going to lose the other one.
Right.
I mean, they were in the game till late.
I think last night was the deal breaker.
That was. Look, man. I think they went from having a chance to make the tournament to maybe not making the NIT.
They were actually on the. I think it was yesterday's before the Alabama game. They were on the next 4 out. So I mean, they were
on the next 4 out.
They were on the bubble of the NCAA tournament. And like you said, we kind of figured the Mississippi State game was going to be a loss. But Alabama was one. It was going to be a toss-up. You had to get that one at home. And you had the
game you wanted to have with them. It was the style of game. But look, man, you know what happened? Did you watch it?
I watched a little bit of it.
They just couldn't shoot. They couldn't shoot. And my coach Sarr continues to be, God, I just don't. I understand why he's on the court because I see what our roster is, but man, there are sometimes he doesn't even. The number of times he went up and threw up that hook just into the rim. Obviously, A.J. Lawson fouling out was the end of the game.
Yeah,
that was the end of the game. I'll tell you, before that game was over, I was on my phone looking, trying to figure out who next year's point guard was going to be. That's where I think the season went. It's over. That was it.
The season being over and the possibility of a trip to the NCAA tournament being over are 2 different things. I don't think your season's over.
No, I mean, I meant that discussion, though. I mean,
that's us.
I think South Carolina, I don't know. I mean, they're probably going to win a game in the SEC tournament. I think they're going to – Frank Martin's not going to let this team not show up. They didn't not show up last night. It wasn't a lack of intensity. They just were not hitting shots that they typically hit because the strange thing, TanMan, is they've kind of become a shooting team. Mm-hmm. And that's a dangerous thing to become at times, because when that backfires on you, they weren't getting the fast break defensive turnovers that they got when they made that tournament run. That isn't this team. Yeah. They play okay defense, but they don't play that smothering defense that we saw when they played Duke and Greenville. They're not that team. And Chris Silva, I mean, to his credit. Still, he looks like the best player on the court just about every night that they don't play Kentucky.
Which is what you really wanted him to do the first month and a half of the season, and then maybe you're not sitting here at 14-14 and with your NCAA bubble hopes going.
There's no question, and I mean, Frank says it's his fault. Who knows, and it really doesn't matter.
That's Frank falling on his sword.
But I don't think Silva's done anything to hurt his draft status, and I think what people are really going to love about him is, his interior play. And the man can shoot free throws, and he's a very talented player at getting fouled. Mm-hmm. He doesn't get fouled as often as he should get fouled. Sometimes he gets body slammed while he's shooting, and there's no call. But when he gets to the line, he can give you 14 points a game just off free throws.
We've said before, a big man who can shoot free throws, get to the foul line, and make free throws.
And play defense.
You're going to have a place. The Gamecocks, they've spent the whole season in that top four, in that double bye discussion in the SEC tournament. Right now, they're sitting in a three-way tie with Ole Miss and Mississippi State. My guess,
I would think Ole Miss. I think they've got the tiebreaker on that one, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, they beat Ole Miss. They only played them.
Surely the first tiebreaker's head-to-head.
But when you start getting into the three teams, I don't know what the SEC's is. My guess is that they're not going to wind up with that now. They're going to wind up having to play that extra game.
Yeah.
Clemson seems to be they've got a stranglehold right now on the 9 seed. So Clemson's in a weird spot because if you finish 9th, you're going to play in the 8-9 game, which means you're not going to play on Tuesday, so you're not going to get an opportunity for another win.
And some people right now, I mean, as far as the dance goes, they've got Clemson playing in that play-in game.
Oh, Clemson is they are. Yeah, this is the year where you could win. You could get in the tournament with 14, maybe even 15 losses. Clemson is sitting right there on that bubble. They're the 9 seed right now in the ACC tournament with South Carolina and Clemson. I know it's a little bit different discussion because Clemson made a tournament run last year, but is the NIT maybe the better place for them?
I was talking to another guy today that's a Clemson fan that actually watches their basketball team. It's hard to find those guys, but they are out there.
So there's 6 of them, and you found one.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah, I got lucky, and I asked him. I said, what do you think is better? Is it better to?
What's the interest? What's his interest level in Clemson going to the NIT?
None.
Really?
None. And he was making the argument, and I'm not sure that I don't agree with him, that it's better to lose the play-in game in the tournament than it is to win the NIT. Well, here's my thing, though, because we've talked about this. I think I made this argument with the NFL, right? That a lot of times what you need to do with an NFL team that hasn't had a lot of turnover, bad teams. Mm-hmm. Like if you're trying to figure out who the NFL teams are that are going to flip their season around, look at the teams that finished 6-10 but won their last 4 games. Mm-hmm. Find those teams. Because when you win your last 4 games, that helps your offseason. That helps everything. And that probably means that locker room kicked into gear and they got something going. All right, so I think, I don't know that I agree with that. From a national prestige standpoint, it doesn't even really matter. Because the bottom line is, a couple years from now, nobody's going to be talking about either one of you. But what does it do for your basketball team to win a tournament? I think I would rather win the NIT than lose the play-in game the day before the tournament really starts. People don't even fill in the bracket on those schools, man.
Brackets aren't even, you turn in your bracket pool, they don't even count the play-in games.
There's not enough space on that little line to write the word Clemson. I mean, you can't even do it.
If you get in the tournament and you're not playing on Thursday or Friday, you're not, by the general perception is you're not really in the tournament.
Well, let's let's just make the argument that you are really in the tournament, but you lose in the round of 64. I mean, you don't win a game.
Yeah.
South Carolina loses to Marquette instead of making a Final Four run. Would Clemson have been better off that year to win the NIT than South Carolina losing in the first round? Flip it around.
I think
I go back and forth.
I think if I'm Clemson, I think there's two different schools of thought here. If you've got an older veteran team, then you want to make the dance. You want to make the dance. They made it to Sweet 16 last year. They made Kansas. The game wasn't as close as what the final score ended up being, but they made Kansas work for 40 minutes. They made Kansas work for 40 minutes in the Sweet 16 last year. For them to wind up in the NIT this year, I think would be a major disappointment when you talk about the upperclassmen that they brought back. The other side of that coin is South Carolina. If South Carolina gets in the NIT and makes a little run, wins a couple games, I think that does, we've talked about it, I think that does a lot more for your program, like you just said about the NFL teams. It does more for your program getting some tournament experience as opposed to getting, winning the last couple games, maybe winning an SEC game or two. If they got in, they'd wind up in that first four and then getting sent back home Tuesday night. And by the time the tournament starts and everybody calls in sick to work on Thursday and Friday, you're watching it on your couch like everybody else. So if I'm South Carolina, I would be okay with an NIT run.
How you feel about these projections for Wofford to be like an 8 seed?
I'm cautiously optimistic. Like, I know all the numbers, I know the metrics, and they all say Wofford should be a single-digit seed. The committee's going to have to do it, man.
Here's my thing, man.
They're going to have to make a believer out of me.
Like, what is the point of even having a top 25? If Wofford comes in at 24, now let's say they're an 8 seed, man. Do the math. That isn't a top 24, right? Mm-hmm. That means there are 49 teams seated ahead of them, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Even if they're the best 8 seed. Maybe as many as 50, 51, 52 teams seated ahead of them. But they're ranked 24th.
Yeah.
And we're supposed to feel excited for them that they're an 8 seed. I mean, like, if you're going to rank them 24th, that probably means they're a 6 seed. At worst. But they're not going to be. But I'll tell you this. I wouldn't want to play them.
Oh, heck no.
I would not want to play them.
Heck no. I saw, I think I said last week.
I am a Wofford grad for the full disclosure.
I saw one of the bracketology things had Wofford playing, possibly matching up with Duke in the second round in Columbia. And I said right there, that is the worst possible draw for Duke that they could ever get, man.
That's a hornet's nest right there.
That is the worst draw they could get.
Gamecock fans. Everybody on earth would be showing up with Wofford stuff on. I mean, that would be...
up in Greenville a couple years ago, I'm telling you, it was probably 85% North Carolina fans, 10%, I'd say 15% South Carolina fans, or 14%, and like 1% some Duke fans in there. And when South Carolina and Duke played, it was 99% anti-Duke.
Well, there's that picture you see tweeted. There's an entire section of North Carolina blue, and all of them are holding up Gamecock flags. Yeah, that's
yes.
It's hopefully they're all listening to the border war, because that's what we're here about.
Had my man in front of me with the phone, videotaping himself. You remember?
Yeah, I did.
I'm so nervous right now.
Now, here's the question.
I can't take this.
Here's the question: was any victory chocolate passed around?
Not that day.
Okay.
Not that. I laughed about the victory chocolate story the other day.
That's not a bad band name either.
Victory chocolate.
I still like Devil's Jelly better.
Best. Flip it over to the NBA side, BG. There's a lot of talk.
We just lost at least one listener. You know that, right? My buddy from North Carolina. Man, he's not listening now. He's not about that NBA action. It's okay though.
Come back, man. Come back.
Bunches of people in the country are, so
come back.
We need to make them happy.
Listen, look at.
I tell you what, we're not going to talk about TanMan. Don't you bring the Charlotte Hornets up? I will sit here mute. Still the 8 seed. How is that? God,
listen to this, BG. The Charlotte Hornets are the 8 seed, right? The 9, the 10, the 11, and the 12 they're all 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. They're all from the same division. I said before, that division is terrible, man. But the Hornets, right now, they're hanging on for dear life. To
the Magic, the Heat, the Wizards, the Hawks, it's just lined up. Yeah.
Yes. What I want to discuss here for a few minutes before our producers shut us down, you hear, whenever the NBA gets brought up, it's always, well, Golden State's going to win it. Who cares? The Warriors are going to win it. The East is terrible. BG, are we sleeping on the East? Because I'm looking at this. The best record in the league is not in the Bay Area.
It is the Greek Freak, baby.
It is the Greek Freak.
Hey, and let's give a little nod to your Pacers, man. What a heck of a season.
Oh, my goodness.
What a heck of a season.
I thought the Pacers would be long gone after Oladipo went down.
When Oladipo went down, you thought that they would be down around the 7 seed.
I thought they'd sink like a stone.
29 and 30, something like that. They have looked amazing.
Yeah, they look great, man.
The Raptors are doing exactly what we thought they would do. And I'll tell you what, and you wonder about with their new roster and a lot more playoff experience on that team than the team that got boat raced out of the finals last year. I mean, I think the Bucks and the Raptors are both teams that could give Golden State some problems. My pick to win the whole thing was, I believe I went with the Celtics over the Rockets. Correct me if I'm wrong.
That sounds right.
I believe I had that because, I thought, and I think there's something to be said for the Rockets. Could have been in it last year. Maybe should have been in it last year. Should have been in it last year. But
they've gotten Chris Paul back. The Rockets are a scary team out west. That Golden State, if they stay in that 4-5, that's going to be a scary second-round matchup.
So you think, all right, the Celtics made the finals, not the finals, but made the Eastern Conference Finals last year. Obviously took Cleveland to 7 games, right? Mm-hmm. They get Gordon Hayward back. They get Kyrie Irving back. I wasn't crazy, was I? But something is clearly wrong in Boston.
I don't really know what's going on in Boston. I think they all hate one another.
Well, my understanding is that Kyrie is calling LeBron now saying, man, how do I get these young kids to listen to me? I hope he's just hanging up on me.
And LeBron's going, I don't know, man. I'm dealing with the same deal. I got the same problem over here.
And the irony, of course, too, that Kyrie wanted out so badly. I'm going to make this argument one more time, and you're going to agree with me. You okay with that? I know you don't know what I'm going to say, but you've heard me say it before. Are you getting a sound effect ready? You don't know which one to use yet.
Yeah, I say.
The NBA is professional wrestling. It's not fake, but you don't agree with that.
How's it professional wrestling?
Because it is marketed on personality, on feuds, on rivalries. Have you ever noticed that when you listen to national Mike and not Mike, I don't know, who else is there? Clay Travis. You listen to these guys. Do you know what they never bring up about the NBA? They talk about it all the time. They never talk about what happens in the games.
No.
Why not? Because it doesn't matter.
Because the off-season,
they're marketing
stuff is much
They're marketing the narratives, the stories, the feuds, the rivalries. But we have turned some of these players into the most annoying people on the planet. And Kyrie Irving's right up there with them.
Hey, look,
his little sullen answer last night, throw Brad Stevens under the bus.
Go ask Brad.
Yeah, go ask Brad, I guess. I mean, come on, dude. Man, you make 18 times more money than Brad. Let's stop.
The Boston Celtics
and Hayward.
Hayward
has been awful.
He shouldn't really even be playing. He should have taken the whole year off. He's not right out there. You look at these East standings, though. The best record in the league is Milwaukee. The second best record in the league is Toronto. The Indiana Pacers sit third in the East.
Now people will say, well, look who they're playing.
Right. Do you know where the Indiana Pacers would sit if they were in the West? They'd be sitting in third place in the West as well.
There you
go. We are sleeping on the East, and we haven't even mentioned maybe the most interesting team come playoff time in the East in Philadelphia. Because the move they made at the trade line.
Well, I think that's the right word.
To add Tobias Harris to that deal. Now, I know Joel Embiid's getting a little banged up now, so we'll cross our fingers and hope that he stays healthy. But I think the East is a 3-team race, man. I think it's Milwaukee, Toronto,
the 76ers are going to be fun to watch. I don't see them doing anything with Milwaukee or the Raptors in 7 games.
But watch out for the. We have to make the obligatory Charlotte Hornets reference.
No, we don't.
We have to.
I don't.
We have to. There's a box.
Never heard of them.
I've opened the box and I'll peek inside. And occasionally,
until they show me something, this is my official take. I am calling them the Bobcats because that's who they are right now.
The Bobcats, huh?
They are the Bobcats. That's what they look like.
They're a little better than. Do you remember the Bobcats?
Clearly not.
They were terrible, man. Anyway,
how about the Nuggets?
Nuggets are fantastic.
I mean, I'm not gonna say the hot take though. Did you see that coming?
Here's what frustrates me about people who don't follow the NBA until June.
Right.
They look at the standings now and they see the Denver Nuggets up there.
And they've been there all year.
And they've been there all year. And then they go, well, if the Lakers can get in as a 7 or 8 seed, if they get in as an 8, they're not going to beat Golden State, but they could beat the Nuggets.
Are you out of your mind? Well, they can't.
What are y'all watching? How are
they're
they
not watching the Nuggets.
To begin with, the Lakers are 4 games out of the 7 seed, so it's not like they're knocking on the door. They're 4 games out. That's not nothing.
Yeah, they're scraping to try to get the Warriors in the first round.
They're not beating the Nuggets.
They're
man.
not in 7 games.
Not even close. I'm tired of the disrespect. Nikola Jokic he's having the best season that nobody outside of hardcore NBA fans are even paying attention to, because they're all focused right now. There's 2 teams in the West that anybody wants to pay attention to. One is the Warriors, and one, if you scroll way down and get your binoculars out and look far enough down the standings, you can see them down there, the LA Lakers. I kind of bought that.
3-7 over their last 10. They've lost 2 in a row. They are 2 games under 500, sitting in the 11th seed, comfortably in the 11th seed.
Look, man, I bought in. I knew I shouldn't have bought in when I did it. Man, are the Lakers the biggest disappointment in all of sports in our lifetime? Which I categorize.
Not for me personally. I'm going to go with the Washington Redskins there. I mean, they
well,
hurt me on a daily
I didn't say most heartbreaking.
Oh, okay.
I didn't say biggest losers.
But we have so much potential.
I didn't say biggest losers. I said the biggest disappointment, because there were
then the Cowboys.
I didn't say biggest losers. I said biggest the Lakers. They were taking odds in Vegas. Like the Lakers were like the 3rd highest favorite out of the West to come out and win the Western Conference.
I heard national basketball guys saying they would be a 3 seed, a 4 seed. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then they're not going to make the playoffs, man. ESPN gives them like a 3% chance to even make the playoffs.
Well, I'll tell you. Yeah, this is what happened. My argument is right, man. The NBA is the WWE, except the games are real. But what LeBron did, in my opinion, is he misread the temperature of the water, of people's tolerance for that stuff, and misread the situation that the Jazz are in a small market, and they'll just lay down. No. And,
go to the Pelicans. We'll just go and take whoever we want off your team. I'm like, no, that's not going to happen.
He did the equivalent of one of these sitcom scenes, right, where you're like, I can't stay in this house anymore with this loser. And when you say loser, the guy you're talking about walks into the room, right? I mean, that's what LeBron did.
Who, me?
And, and we were talking about it right before the game started, man, of all 3 of the big 3 sports. And I asked you what would happen if Ezekiel Elliott came to play for the Redskins. He'd just be exactly the same, except he'd be wearing a different uniform. Running the football. That is not basketball. You can't just take players, stick them on teams. They might look great on paper. The Celtics are the perfect example of that. But LeBron, I think he's gone too far with it. He hasn't really earned it. And we were both LeBron guys, and he's lost both of us.
I've always operated under the assumption, and have argued until I was blue in the face, that you could take LeBron James off of whatever team he's on and stick him on whichever team you want to stick him on.
And then make the playoffs.
And I always use the Hornets as an example. You could stick LeBron on the Charlotte Hornets, and they would win at the very least, they would be in the Western Conference Finals. Or the Eastern Conference Finals, excuse me. At the very least, they'd be knocking on the door to an NBA Finals appearance. And that myth has been debunked to the umpteenth degree, because this mess out here.
Now I will admit to this. I have not watched a lot of Lakers games. I've seen a lot of Lakers highlights. I'm not staying up till 10 after midnight to watch them lose to the Suns.
But they beat the Rockets.
So my question is, do you think LeBron has looked like LeBron from a basketball standpoint? Because I don't even think this has much to do with basketball. I actually don't think the NBA has much to do with basketball. But I'm not going to keep hammering that point, although I'm right.
I don't have an X button.
I don't know why you don't see what I'm saying.
All right, look, if LeBron doesn't go out with that groin injury, because when he went out,
that's what started.
They were like 3rd or 4th in the West. They were in the mix, and when he went out, they started going down the drain, and then came all the trade rumors, and like you said, everybody walks in, well, you want to trade me,
right?
and they've never recovered mentally. To the original point, BG, I'm going to say yes. This Lakers season is the biggest disappointment that I can remember in all of sports. In all of sports, because
so
you've got LeBron James, man. He's been to 8 straight NBA Finals, and you're not going to make the playoffs with him.
Yeah, I'm just thinking. I mean,
I think in the NFL, can you come up with anything?
No, I mean no, because the big the Patriots losing to the Giants, that was in the Super Bowl,
right?
It wasn't like we didn't make the playoffs,
right? If the New England Patriots next year went 3-13, okay, but even then you could kind of,
the only thing you
could kind of make the argument. Well, they're probably on their last leg as a.
No, the only thing I can think of is but I can't think of anything that beats it. But it's not like it's the perfect storm, because this is not Golden State. This is not a team where you look at them now. Everybody said they were going to win it all. No, everybody had them. But like you said, third or fourth seed in the West that's a strong team.
I think some of the expectations were clearly too high.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Like I said, I knew it when the season started, and I still said it anyway.
I think you might say all of the expectations. I don't remember anybody picking them to be this bad.
You're gonna be the 3 seed. You're gonna be the 2, maybe win the West. But you can't get to 5. You can't get to 6. So you're not even going to get in.
No, you're not.
Hands down. Hands down, LA's a mess. The biggest disappointment in sports. We've nailed it. There's no more discussion. That is it for episode 100, because our producers are wrapping us up as we speak. If you've got an opinion on the show that you'd like to share with us, you can email that to us.
Who's the new producer with the tape on his glasses? I don't like that guy. I don't know the way he's looking at me.
I think his name was Anthony. You can email that to us at carolinaborderwar@gmail.com. If you want to tweet us, we are at The Border War. I am at TanMan3264. He is at BG_BorderWar. And we are on Facebook. You can like and share our pages, our posts on Facebook.
You're an idiot.
I'm not an idiot.
Keep talking about walking. I'm an idiot.
I'm not an idiot.
Did you see my tweet today? It showed one little repeating clip of Ryan Helinski throwing the ball in spring practice, and I thought it was a repeat. I was like, man, he's hitting that spot every time.
His arm is amazing.
He's hitting that spot.
He doesn't even stop.
Yeah, I felt pretty stupid.
His arm just keeps going.
I like the Spurs in the first round versus Golden State. That's a tricky little matchup. That'll take them 6-7 games. Ghost Peppers.